Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning into this video today. I'm Joni Young, and today I just picked some hydrangeas out of my garden and I'm going to paint this. So watch me and paint along. I hope you learn a lot today and get inspired. We're beginning on an 8x10 black prime gesso board. I've got a Filbert brush, a small one, and I'm going to mix up white, purple, and phthalo blue. I'm going to push and let off for each petal, trying to make 3 per flower, but they're going to be really layered, so don't worry if you don't see 3 petals on each flower. There's just going to be so many of them that don't worry at all about trying to make perfect flowers. It's all about the brush technique and the colors that we're using today. We're going to be making lots of beautiful pastel tones with the magenta, Dioxazine purple, phthalo blue, white, and even a little bit of my warm yellow green. So what you want to do is push gently, leaving the end of the flower petal pointy, and then as they get into the center of the flower, they're going to be wider and rounded. So you can do this by kind of painting out each petal precisely, or using a brush technique by just pushing, pulling, and letting off. So you can practice this with a few different brushes. You could also use a round brush, a flat brush, but I really like the Filbert brush. Oh, another brush that would work excellent is a cat's tongue. And I'm just going to continue to add 3 petals per flower. I'm going to layer, overlap, sometimes using less white for more color and shadow. So when you do darker petals and flowers underneath, you can layer over top with lighter ones and you'll kind of get that 3D look. You'll have a lot of natural light and shadow going on, plus all the beautiful tones of all these colors that we're using today. I'm going to leave a little space, try to leave a little space inside of each flower that's just black, and then if you're not able to do that, that's okay. You can just do a little dark dot in the middle after. So hydrangeas are one of my favorite flowers, and I'm really trying to be successful in the garden with them right now, but I don't know what happened this year. They're a lot smaller than they were last year. I had beautiful, huge hydrangea flowers last year. I didn't have a lot of them, but I had really big ones, and I had some of them were a pinky magenta tone. Other ones were had bubblegum pink in them. Some of them had more of turquoise, phthalo blue, cobalt blue. I had everything. And this year, I don't know, honestly, I don't know what went wrong. It's going to be something that I have to Google or YouTube how to continue to have beautiful blooms on your hydrangeas each year, because I don't know what I did this year that I didn't last year. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm pretty disappointed. At least I have some little ones, as you can see here on the left. They're really blue this year. 2 of my hydrangea bushes aren't even blooming at all. I only got 1 that's blooming, and I have 3 altogether. So you can see here that I'm not really washing my brush out. I just keep adding different colors. So I'm picking up the magenta. If you don't have magenta, quinacridone violet works just fine. You could use pink. You can even use cadmium red, would be really nice. And I've always been intimidated to try painting a hydrangea, and I just was wondering, I sat down today and I was wondering what to paint. I knew I wanted to paint, and I was going to start looking at old photographs, and then it was sitting out right in front of me, the beautiful hydrangea in my little vase here on my table, and I thought, without thinking about it anymore and putting it off, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and try it and get a feel for how to paint these flowers and layer them. And overall, I'm pretty happy, and I think it was easier than I thought it would be. I'd like to practice a little bit more with my brush technique, perhaps use a cat's tongue brush, and maybe I'll get more of effective hydrangea flower leaf or flower petal shape. So this one here is obviously going to be the bigger one. I didn't want to paint two big ones. I wanted to have a small one kind of offset that big one. And then I'm going to have a leaf for each one as well to bring in some green. This sort of chartreuse limey green color, which is also really complementary to all the purple that we've got in these hydrangeas. And of course the black, Mars black underpainting just sets everything off, and it's a really nice contrast. Now what I start to do is add, I don't know if you ever really look at hydrangea flowers, but sometimes, especially ones that maybe aren't completely all in full bloom yet, have a little bit of a green tone to some of the petals. You can see that on the left side of this video at the top where I've got my hydrangea sitting there. There's a bit of a green tone to it, so I'm going to incorporate that in with my phthalo blue and white, and I'll add a few of them just kind of around the edge. And then I'm going to do a little bit of white. So for 3 petal leaves per flower, I'm going to do a little dot on the inside closest to the center of the flower, and then I'm going to leave a dark spot right in the middle. And it's going to be really small, so you can just use a tiny liner brush to do a little dot, but you don't have to do this on every single one. But on a few of them would be nice. That'll make them look more like hydrangeas. I think the scariest thing is overlapping. If you've never painted flowers before, especially ones like this that just have so many mini flowers on one flower head, it can be really intimidating. And it's kind of intimidating and scary to overlap something that you've already painted and you think it looks pretty, but it's the way you have to do it. There's no way around it. You really want to make it look 3D and build up those layers. So when you've got a darker flower underneath, like I said earlier, then you're going to mix white with that same color, or maybe throw in some of that magenta and layer that on top. So now I'm kind of deciding where I want the placement of my leaves to be. So I just took my hydrangea leaves on the side and kind of eyeballed it where I want to place them, how I think it might look nice. And I think I'm going to put one right over here, and I'm using my warm yellow green, my liner brush, and I'm just going to start doing the little veins on the leaf and getting a little bit of the shape, how it's kind of pointy, and they have all those little edges and ridges on the ends of them. So we've got that main line that goes right in the middle, and then they come out from the center almost like a little tree and the branches. You want to try to line them up. Although I didn't do a very good job of that, but usually where you have one on the left side, it's going to be almost mirrored on the other side. But there are tons of reference photos out there if you don't happen to have a hydrangea sitting on your table like I do. It's a really good idea, I think, when you're painting flowers to kind of study them and see where the lines, the shadows, and the shapes of the petals fall and how they all come together. You don't have to paint it like it's a photograph. You don't want to have, you don't have to put in every single line and detail on it, but you kind of want to get a good idea of what they look like before going ahead and painting them. So I'll be doing the same thing down here, putting the little lines, pattern, and veins through. And I'm purposely not completely filling in each leaf solid with green. What I want to do is take advantage of that black paint underneath showing through, because that will give us that nice shadow naturally. That's why I like to paint on a black canvas, because it takes that work away. You've already got your shadow, all your shadows there, and you just can build up to your mid-tones, to your brightest final highlights in color. I'm going to use my Filbert brush now and come in with green, a little bit of black, maybe even a little bit of phthalo blue, just to change the tone up a little bit where it's going to be a bit more of a shadow. We can have a cool green, so by adding a little bit of that phthalo blue, and then your leaf will look three-dimensional. And I'll do the same to this one down here. Now, I don't paint a lot of flowers, and you guys know that if you've been following my channel for a while now. I've painted a few roses before. I've painted some lavender, but the roses I find a lot more difficult, and I really would have thought it would have been the other way around. I thought that roses would have been much easier than painting a hydrangea flower, but I've realized by doing this that it's not the case. There's something about roses, they're so incredibly delicate, and I find it really difficult to paint a rose how I want it to look. And I have a lot of respect and admiration for all you artists out there that can paint roses really well. But this has been fun. I'm really glad that I did this. I'm constantly getting out of my comfort zone lately, going through all the things that I've wanted to paint for years but just kept putting off because I was too scared to, or it just wasn't the right time. And it feels good to just go through all those things and check them off on my list and know what I enjoyed painting and know what I want to try painting again. Such as that cityscape that I did the other day. I loved painting that, and I'm going to do one again. I'm going to do a larger one. And these hydrangeas, I definitely want to try painting lilac. That's another one that I've always been intimidated to paint, and after doing this hydrangea, I think that I'm ready to start my next floral, and that will be a lilac. Lilac is another one of my favorite flowers. The fragrance of it is so beautiful. I'm going to add a few more petals as this paint is drying. It's looking a little bit darker, so I want to soften this up a little bit more, make it look a little bit more delicate by adding some more white. And the white is mixed in with a little bit of blue, a little bit of purple. I'm just going to add a few more of these little white tabs in the center of the flower, or flowers I should say. And I'm going to call this painting all done. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Let me know if you have any requests of a flower that you'd like to see me paint. Join my Patreon page where we can connect and talk one-on-one. If you need any advice or have any questions about anything, just let me know. So I hope you have a wonderful day, happy painting, and I'll see you next time very soon in a brand new video. Bye for now.